The following movie is rated R.
Welcome back to the R-Rated podcast. Today's guest is Victoria Marjasso. I hope I didn't mess that up. And we have an extra guest right over here. Little V. She might look a little scary or not, but we're going to get the full rundown on how she made this head today, and I'm super excited because it's literally her twin if she was dead. So, welcome, Victoria. How are you doing?
Thank you. I'm doing great. How are you?
Good. I wanted to start with the basics first and ask you, how did you get into special effects, makeup, and all that kind of stuff?
It's actually a funny and kind of weird story. It all started one night. My parents fell asleep while watching a scary movie.
Classic.
Horror.
Yeah.
And
love that movie.
Really liked it. So I started watching scary movies a lot. My mom was also really into art, painting, all of that, as was her mom.
Oh, okay.
So that kind of started combining.
You were exposed to it as a young
age. Around middle school, I started watching a lot of YouTube videos.
Yeah.
And then I realized I like makeup.
Okay.
So at some point, I realized you could combine it all into one career, and I kind of did that and rolled with it. Here I am.
And then, so you came from New York to LA to pursue special effects makeup, or was that, or like, how did that all go down?
Yeah, so while I was in high school, I found the school called Cinema Makeup School in Los Angeles, and I came out. It was a 7-month program, and I decided I would stay out here after.
Well, I'm glad that you're here.
Thank
to start,
you.
like, from the beginning, because I really, like, wouldn't even know, like how the hell you did this. So, like, how, because I see she has, like, hair.
Yeah.
So, did you, like, sew this on, or, like...
Glue.
Oh, that makes sense. So is this like a weave or like...
Yeah, so this is just a normal wig.
Okay.
Basically, I butchered it a little bit, glued on about the back half.
Okay.
And then about like a quarter to half inch around the entire thing is hair punched. So that's when you take kind of a clip of hair.
Yeah.
And you have this needle hook contraption, and you grab hair by hair, and you just kind of punch it right into the silicone. So if we go
you can
right
like actually
here,
see the hairline.
You can see the cross section and see how it kind of gives off that realistic.
Totally.
Hairline.
It actually
like if you
literally compare it to like my hairline, that looks crazy. Oh my god! And then what if you accidentally like mess up? Like if you, like what if you like do the hair a little bit too far back or something? Like what do you do in that? Like can you? Is
With
it a
hair
quick
punching?
fix? Yeah.
It's a quick fix to take it out.
Yeah.
But then you have to repunch it correctly. So that would be the time-consuming part. But to take the hair out, the hair that's punched isn't glued. So we could actually just pull out a piece.
Oh, whoa. Okay, yeah, and there it goes.
However, this part is pretty bonded to the head. So that's a little bit
This
of a
ain't
permanent
coming
mess
off.
off. You might have to do a little hacksaw job on that to get that off of there, but you could definitely still reposition and reglue.
That's wild. And what are the eyes made out of? Because can I touch it? It feels...
Yeah, of course. So those are...
Like, I don't know if you guys can hear it, but it sounds hard. So, like, what is it made out of?
It is, yeah. So those are made out of a combination of this liquid plastic, and then they are capped with dental acrylic.
But how do you, like, mold it? And, like, does it come like that already? Like a little eyeball?
So there's 2 molds that go with that.
Okay.
The mold where you would pour the liquid plastic, which is white. So you pour up that part it's kind of flat at the iris and the pupil, and then it has an indent where the pupil is. So that's, you'd pour up that, you'd paint the iris to match your client or yourself, in this case it was myself,
Yeah. Did you even give her a little pimple?
Yeah, I have a little, like...
Wait,
I have
my
a
god,
little mole
guys.
guy right here.
This one? Oh, it's like... Oh, it's a little...
A little red mole. I know, it looks just like a pimple. And it's always there,
Wait.
and I figured I had to keep it right.
Wait, yeah, that's
Continuity.
hilarious. The detail. Oh, my God. Wait,
She
but how
is
did you
neat.
add, like, a little detail like that? Because, like, literally, it doesn't look like you, like, glued it on. Like, I don't understand.
That is a whole other... So, similar to the eyeballs, we made a mold of our exact faces. So so my classmates in this case...
Was this like your graduating project? Like make your own head?
Yeah, this was our final
Okay, I was going to
class.
say, like if this was like the first project, like what else were you making?
I think we started with beauty, actually. We started with the basics.
Okay, so makeup first.
Sanitation, hygiene, beauty, editorial, all of that, and then it kind of...
That's amazing. Since it's your own head, like, how were you even able to recreate yourself? Because I feel like without, like, seeing myself in a... I don't even know, because I feel like I'd have to, like, see myself, and then, like how are you able to do that?
It's definitely trippy, and it's hard, and you realize things about yourself that you didn't know before.
Okay.
So when we first poured this up, so what you have to do after you make the mold of your face is you have to pour clay into that and then correct it. So I had to sculpt, like if you show the cross section of the bottom,
yeah,
I had to sculpt all of that into clay before we could create this silicone head of myself. So after taking reference pictures and seeing my head kind of bald in clay, no eyebrows, I realized my ears are uneven. My nostrils are uneven.
Let's see these ears.
You see yourself for almost how others see you for the first time, and it makes it so hard. It's easier to work on a different face.
Those are some good ears, though. Like, I mean...
Thanks.
Just got a piercing right here. No, just kidding. So basically, you just draw your own face. Because I was going to ask you, like, you probably have to, like, sketch it out or something, right? So, like... You literally, this is your own, like, drawing. You're literally, I just can't draw. So I'm like, if I drew myself. Drawing. Oh, really?
No, we just use reference pictures.
And so it's just pictures.
Yep.
Okay.
Just pictures, because the face, I didn't have to sculpt myself.
Right.
You know, I poured the clay. It was kind of already in the shape of me. I just had to make some wounds. And then once we poured the silicone and had kind of the fleshy copy, it was... I think they said it was chicken fat yellow color almost, and I had to go in and paint and do this texture, and that's what brings it to life.
Is the coloring.
Yeah, so for if you were doing like maybe like a creature decapitated head or something, that would definitely be a whole SketchUp process and reworking that.
Right.
But this was almost easier, I guess, in that sense.
And how do you add like cuts like this? Because it's like...
In the clay.
In the clay? Oh, okay. So you're already
sculpting.
And then you just like paint it and color it.
So there's two molds of my head. One is of me going like this with my eyes shut. And then, like and then the other is the mold of the clay thing that I sculpted, where I re-sculpted my eyes open. Because when you do a life cast, you can't ask the actress to, I put the silicone on your face, can you keep your eyes open? You know what I mean?
Right.
So we had to sculpt. You always have to sculpt the eyes open. You have to do a little work inside the mouth because it can't get that far back.
Is it like claustrophobic though, like putting it on? Because, like, I'm someone who's...
accept that you're under there, it's good. It's definitely, if you are a claustrophobic person, I think it could be a challenge. And, we've definitely run into...
No, I'm not going to get my own head.
issues in the industry with life casting. Yeah,
I was going to ask, because I feel like there's definitely going to be some actors that are going to be a little bit claustrophobic, because, I don't know, I'm sure... I'm claustrophobic, so I don't think I could do it. Like, I feel like I'd be like, I can't breathe. Like, it's hard to breathe. Like, what am I supposed to do? And then these teeth, are they like... Can you hear these?
Those are also dental acrylic, too. And those, we made a mold of our teeth the same exact way they do.
Yeah, they look spot on.
Yep, same as the dentist with the tray.
Yeah.
With that alginate, the minty flavor.
Oh, when you're... Yeah.
You put it in.
I did this for my braces.
Yeah. Yep, and then we pour the dental acrylic right into that, pop it out. You can use a Dremel and shave it down because I didn't need my whole set of teeth.
Right,
in there.
yeah.
And then you cut a little slit, pop them in.
And do you just glue it in too? You just pop them and glue it?
Yep, they're glued right in there.
Whoa. And the mouth is like, because your lips, they look so good. Like, they're like...
I did have to do a little re-sculpting kind of to dig into the mouth so that we could, because I knew I wanted to end up with my teeth in there.
Yeah.
So that part I had to dig out a little bit. That was definitely a little re-sculpting, and then re-sculpting of the lines of the lips.
Because you got like the little mountains like spot on and everything. What about the eye? I mean, I'm assuming the eyelashes are similar to like the hair and the eyebrows, right? Like just less hair and like more defined, I guess.
Yeah, so the eyes are hand punched too, the eyelashes and the eyebrows. The only thing I would do differently now is to use different hair. See, I use synthetic hair.
Yeah, so you would.
So you can see kind of the abrupt end. You know how our natural hair and animal hair tapers at the end? That's kind of what you want. That's what you want with the lashes and with the brows, and that will give it even more realism than what you're seeing here. So this is almost base level.
Oh, wow, okay. Well, this is I mean, I don't think I could recreate this. What would you say is like the most challenging part about creating this head?
Oof.
Because this was your first head ever made, right?
Yes.
So I'm sure you were like facing some kind of like challenges.
I think remembering with the molding process, you
Yeah.
work with a lot of hazardous toxic chemicals that are very finicky.
Oh,
They're
really?
finicky to temperature, to moisture, you have to measure it exactly by volume or by weight, depending on what it says. It is like chemistry up in there during the molding process.
Okay, that's cool. I didn't know that.
Yeah, when you're using the resin and epoxy. So definitely learning the safety procedures,
Yeah.
following them, getting
Yeah.
all of that down, and making sure you do it properly the first time.
What happens if you don't measure it like correctly? What's the like worst thing that could go wrong if you mess that
Worst
up?
case in the molding process is the resin doesn't set on the face.
Yeah.
And that is like sludge. It's like tar, sludgy consistency. So you might have to redo the whole thing from scratch, the sculpting, because I don't think you'd be able to wash it off of the clay.
Oh, okay.
Some people may be able to correct me if I'm wrong on that. Maybe there is a way with a lot of hard
There
work.
might be a way.
There might be a way
but
to
I
salvage
don't know.
it, but it might be too much time to even,
Yeah.
You might want to just skip that and restart at that point. I think that would be worst case. Yeah, not mixing correctly and having it not set at all.
Oh
Ruin
shit!
your mold,
Have you
ruin your
heard
sculpt.
any like head horror stories or like mold horror stories?
I've only heard, so when you're working in a shop, usually you'll have like the intern or other people that help you do the molding process after, if you are the sculptor.
Yeah.
There usually are molders too that do the molding process.
Oh.
So I think I've heard of like, you really don't want to ding or mess up someone else's sculpture during the molding process because that takes time out of production.
Right.
It bothers everyone. And it's
It bothers
stepping on everyone's toes. It's like, just don't do it. Never do it. And if you do it, tell someone immediately.
Yeah.
Do not try and fix it yourself. That's like the extra
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. And is this like usually like a collaborative like thing to do, or is it like a one-person job? Because I probably would need help, but I don't know.
I would say usually collaborative
Okay.
in that sense. If it's being made at a shop, there are multiple hands in the process.
So you usually do these types of things in a shop, or did you create this at home?
Yes,
Okay.
I created this at school and half in a shop. So the school of cinema makeup actually, I guess, asked this one shop if they would be willing to like let us learn.
Can we learn here?
To have us jump right into it, which
right.
I think was the best way they could have done it because it took us to that place.
Just be thrown into it. I feel I learned like that too. Like I remember when I started film school, they were like, "All right, you're gonna be shooting like a little mise-en scene," and I was like, "What does that mean?" Like, and then they're like, "Just figure it out. Like, think of a storyline," and then you're like, "Okay," and then you're doing it, and then you learn. So
exactly,
I totally get it.
Exactly.
How do you charge for like a head? Like if I was like, "Hey, I want a replica head of myself," it's for a scary movie. Mm-hmm. Obviously, I don't want my real head to be like cut open. So, like, how much would like you charge for that? Like, how? Because like,
for this,
are you charged? Yeah, like let's say it was literally this, but my head, and like obviously, like I have a nose ring. Like there's like different facial features that I have that you don't have. So I'm like, how does that?
Yep.
How do you go about that?
Go over and discuss every little thing like that you would possibly want. Would you want it to be barefaced? Would you want it to have the makeup?
No, I want makeup on. I'm like, I don't want to be natural.
You had to add your jewelry, what hairstyle, all of that. The material. Do you need it to last, or is it a one-time use? Because that depends. You could use silicone, or if it's one-time use, low lighting. You could get away with gelatin, and that could knock off a few $100.
Like
gelatin, like the
kind the outside would be gelatin.
Yep, instead of silicone.
What? I don't even how. No, like seriously, how does gelatin become that?
So instead of pouring silicone or brushing silicone into that negative, into that mold of the face, you would pour up and you mix up gelatin with a few different things. Okay. And then you microwave it until it's really hot and it becomes molten again. And you'd pour it or brush it into the mold. Probably try and pour and then brush, as the gelatin can get air bubbles in it really fast. And that's what can give away. That's why I would say I recommend silicone over gelatin, because you can run into a lot of issues with the gelatin. But the silicone is the more expensive route.
Right, but it
it's
looks
more
better,
sturdy,
and
but it looks better.
Like I can legit hold it, and I can like I just feel like I could take this head anywhere.
Exactly.
Be besties.
Yeah.
So like maybe like the 500. I don't know. Like what's like a ballpark number? Like
materials. Oh,
she's like,
it could. I mean,
this is gonna be pricey.
This was definitely, when we were in school, it was definitely a few thousand total with lab fees and all of that. Yeah.
I mean, it makes sense though, because it's like a legit head, and it's like your time, the effort, the products, and it's like I'm sure can you get all these?
That's just materials though. That's not even labor.
Right. How many hours of labor would it take you to create?
How many hours would I want? 3 weeks. How many hours do we usually get?
Yeah.
1, 2 tops.
Shit. Okay.
I feel like it's usually going to be like a last minute thing. Like, hey, we decided this person's head needs to roll. Can you
make one now?
By next week? Yeah, right.
I'd be like, no, I'm stressed. Like, I can't.
So the time I like always differs because I could work on this forever.
Right.
You know, you can just keep going,
I get that too.
going.
Like as an artist, like you can always feel like you can perfect like your work a little more if you have the time for it.
I feel like 3 weeks is a nice amount of time that I would.
3 weeks,
I
and how many
had that
hours are
every
you
time.
spending in like a day in those 3 weeks?
I would probably do full days of work. Yeah.
Whoa.
Full 8 to 12 hours. So, especially when it comes to hair punching and the molding. The molding takes all day, and you have to work with what you've got. If you're working outside, you have to work with the temperature drops and the sun. The sun can affect things. If you're doing gelatin, the sun can affect things. If you're using
do you prefer a darker room or like setting or like?
I would say inside in a moisture controlled environment. That's why the shop was great.
But what if you don't have access to like how easy is it to get access to these shops? Are they expensive to like be a part of or like?
I think you kind of apply to it like you can apply to it as like an apprentice or get mentored or just as kind of like a runner for them. Doing things from them, and that's how you get in and start working for them, and then you just are an employee at the shop. But to rent, I'm not sure if you could just
like walk.
Maybe
could I just like walk
if I knew
in
a guy?
Yeah, like I'm like, do you just like walk into these shops and you're like, hey, like I need to create like a head today. Can I use this station? Like that's kind of like what I'm imagining, but I feel like that's not how it is.
I wish.
So there's more steps to it. Okay.
Yeah, so if anything, you can do these things outside and in your home.
Yeah.
But it's very messy, and you have to then plan ahead and be willing to work with the weather. Work with the weather, check the weather, double check the weather.
That's like unpredictable. I don't know.
Like inside of this head, there's this stuff called polyfoam. It's this soft foam. Kind of looks like if you've ever seen like a couch cushion ripped open, like that soft. It kind of looks like that. That is a chemical. You mix A and B together. You have a few seconds to dump it in, and it expands and turns into that foam. Like magically. It's kind of cool to watch.
I know, like I'm so visual, so I'm like
another thing you cannot get on your hands. It's like 30 degrees.
So you wouldn't even be able to do that in front of me because we might lose skin in the process.
Right? Okay. It'd be a fun thing. I bet you there are like cool clips of it on YouTube because you
check it out on YouTube, guys.
You can mix it in a tiny little cup and shoots out.
It's like a little science project. Yeah. Wait, were you good at science before like special effects makeup or like did you have interest in science? Because I feel like I was always like really bad at chemistry and all that kind of stuff. I like biology.
I feel like I wasn't the best in chemistry, but maybe I just wasn't paying attention.
Right. And I feel like when
it's fun now.
Once you like have a passion for something and then like you're like, oh, this is really cool. Like I'm interested in
That's
this.
what it is. Now that I love doing this no matter what. I love it. So it is fun to me, and it does feel like a little science project every time. That's why when people are like, oh, you do arts and crafts, and they're like, oh, sorry, should I not have said that? Is that offensive? I'm like, no, that's how it feels.
Yeah, no, but like,
I get to be a child every day.
This is like beyond arts and crafts, though. This is like amazing. So if like you're already spending like up to 3 weeks on something like this, like I can't even imagine like what those big like studio budget movies that are like creating these like freaking crazy monster looking type things and like. Like I feel like that would take like a year.
Yes, months and months of pre-production.
And it has to be more than one person, right? It has to be like a whole
hundreds of people working on that. Oh my goodness, yeah. When there's big guys, they'll have because when you take in consideration, how many people are molding each part, if they have a fast workaround time, they have to hire just more people to get it done quick. If they have a year, maybe they'll go with less people. If they have less time, they have to pay for more. more hands on that project.
Damn. Wow. Yeah, that's
all the dinosaurs and all that.
Yeah, that's oh my god. So like besides molding heads and stuff, are there any other like body parts or other things you've like molded?
Fingers, ears.
Oh, okay.
What else? Usually it's just molding so that you can sculpt a wound, and then you kind of mold that wound. Oh, it's hard to describe. Mold that wound in the correct shape so that it will lay nicely. Like, if I'm sculpting something on a leg, or for a leg, like say I have a bone busting out of my leg.
Okay, yeah.
I'm gonna want to sculpt it on something leg shaped, not something flat.
Right.
Because if I sculpt it on something flat, when I lay it down on myself, it's gonna ripple up weird, and it's not gonna feel like skin, and it's not gonna move like skin.
Ooh, okay. So
and
what would you?
People will see that on camera.
So what would you lay it like? What's similar to a leg that you could use?
So you could do a life cast of a leg, and then once you have that stone cast of the leg, you can just sculpt right on that over and over and over again until it breaks. And if you're just sculpting, it'll last so long. So then you can do that, and then you basically mold on top of that and create a snap mold, I think it's called. Yeah.
Damn. Okay. So is the head the coolest thing? One of the coolest things you've made, or what? Or like, what do you think in your opinion?
Yeah, because
like, you have more. You've made more than one, so I know you have a couple experience with that.
But yeah, I'd say the head is probably one of my favorites. I could see why. Definitely like doing like creature makeups too, doing foam prosthetics. Yes. But I haven't dabbled in that as much.
What are some different things you would have to prepare for like monster prosthetics or creature prosthetics? I mean, obviously like our facial features are a lot different than monster or creature, so I'm sure. Yeah. But I feel like you could play with it more, and maybe even like be a little bit more messy, because I feel like a creature looks all messed up, so it's like you're not as like
organic. Yeah.
It doesn't have to be as like perfect, I guess. Yeah. I don't know. Maybe I could be totally wrong. So take it away.
So if I was like, say if I was doing a creature makeup for you, if you wanted me to turn you into, say, a lizard, or I don't know, whatever, something like that. I'd be
down. Let's do it.
Again, we'd start off with a life cast. Yeah. Maybe only half the face.
So we always start off with a life cast.
You want to. If I have an old one that's about your size, you could do that too, and that would be a cheaper way to get away with it. But it might, again, that could lead to problems in the future, like it might not seat on your face properly. Right. Once we have it glued on and you move your face, it might not have the correct movement that a human would have, and then that gives it away too, and then it looks like a mask. We don't want it to look like a mask. We want it to look like a part of you.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So that's one thing. After the life cast, we would sculpt onto that kind of piece, create your lizard look, and then you kind of float off.
How do you add scales? Like, is that, would you also sculpt it? You would just like go like one by one, like with like a little tool?
There are a few different ways to do scales too. Yeah. Oh, I wish I had a little block of clay. I should have brought that too. I could have just showed you a quick little demo. Molding. Yeah. That's another idea we have.
Yeah, so it's okay. You can come back and sculpt.
But yeah, scales are kind of cool. There are a few different ways. There's like an easy way where you do a little, like cross-hatching pattern, digging into the clay, and then you smooth it over with certain solvents. Okay. And then that kind of gives a scale effect, and you can add some pieces back on top and kind of sculpt, play with those. It's kind of hard to explain without.
I'm understanding the bit. Yeah, because like I'm visualizing it. I'm like, as you're saying it, I'm like, okay. And so I know you brought other prosthetics as well, like just little pieces. Do you want to show us your little book of secrets?
Yeah, since we're talking about molding. So I brought the prosthetics and the mold that goes with each prosthetic.
Okay. Oh, yeah, let's see.
I'll show the mold first. And these are how I was saying you'd want to sculpt something the same shape as the leg for a big leg piece. These are the opposite. These are flat molds. So this is flat, and you'd want to keep the sculpts for these small and then apply them on a more flat surface.
Okay.
So this is a mold for the stitch, and here's the stitch.
So that's what it looks like before you do anything. Yep. Okay. And then that's what it...
Yeah, so basically I sculpted a stitch, and then I added a little clay ring around it. This is what we call flashing. It's easy to handle while I'm trying to place it on you. And then I built a wall around it. In this case, I used a big cup and I just cut the bottom off. And then I poured silicone. So the silicone was like that. Poured it up. Once it's set, I peeled it off.
And then it just came out. Ah, okay.
So now the next step is to pour. Well, first you encapsulate it with this stuff called baldies or super baldies.
Which is like what is that?
It's
You're like,
kind
it's
of
not
like
good.
a barrier. I don't know it's its own thing. It's a way to seal in the silicone, and it makes it easier to apply.
Interesting.
Oh, a little stuck. Brain right here is the super baldies. That makes it easy to apply to the skin, and then you can use a solvent like if it's super baldies or baldies. One of them uses acetone, the other one uses alcohol.
Yeah.
And it dissolves with that. So you would glue this down, and then you would take the acetone.
Like, would you cut, like, how would you place it?
Yeah. So once you glue it and place it, you would take the acetone on a brush and kind of do this, and it makes the edge fade away, and then this peels up and comes right off. And then it's on you, perfectly secure.
No wonder, because I'm like, how do you
skin
stick
tight.
it on? Yeah.
Yeah, so leaving this on just gives you something to hold without messing up.
Okay,
any
so
of
it's
your
like
work.
a little, like, divider or like something.
Like a barrier almost.
Yeah.
That's why we call it encapsulator, because
Right.
it's on both sides.
Right, that makes sense. Oh, cool.
And then
you
this one I
literally
just pre-painted. And
So how it started and how it's going.
how it ends up.
Yeah, how it ends up. That is so funny. It literally is just like, because if you see it like this, you're just like, what is this? I mean, like, obviously you know what it is, but if you're like, make a scar,
I
I'd be
know,
like,
right?
how do
It's
I
such
make a
bizarre
scar?
thing to look
And then it
at.
looks like this. That's so
I'll try
cool.
and pop this off again.
Oh yeah, let's see.
So this is just on here with pins. It's probably going to be a little stuck. I've had this on here for like a month.
So you made these during lockdown?
Yes.
How long did it take you to make that?
Sculpting and everything, I probably spent like a day doing a few of these sculpts and then pouring them up and making a few molds out of them.
This is cool. Like you go to your apartment.
I
It's
ripped
just
it
like
a little bit. It's
little
not supposed
scars
to be
all over.
ripped. I just did that.
That's just.
But yeah, you
use
can
any-
just pop it on you.
Should we put it here? Ooh.
So normally, if you know the client you're using, you would match it to their skin tone. So this one's more of mine.
Yours, yeah. I'm a little tan.
So I have in this booklet, I have a few different lighter skin tones. This one's a bit darker. I think it's still too pinky for you though.
Yeah.
But yeah, essentially you would mix up the correct color to match your client.
And so what happens if, like, let's say this was for me and then it was like, oh no, like the color's
so I
off.
could use this on you. That was a very good question.
Yeah.
If it's too dark, it's harder. If it's too light, then it's easy to go dark. It's easy for this to
add more
match
color.
to you. But if it was too dark for you, it would you could lighten it up, but it wouldn't look as translucent anymore, as skin-like anymore. It would be harder to cheat it and make it look real.
So what kind of cut would this be? Like, how would I have gotten this cut?
This is a pretty clean incision, so I would say it's more medical.
Ah, okay.
And you can stitch this up in different ways as well.
This
so
like
I don't
be on
have
my
these
face
stitched.
too, like.
Yeah, it could go anywhere. Yeah, cheek would be a good spot.
A cheek would be a good spot. I leave the podcast like this. Like, what happened to you? Victoria got me.
Frankenstein facade. The Frankenstein bread.
Oh, yeah, let me see
You
this
can
one. Okay, what's
even,
this?
I wouldn't do it this sculpt because I made it pretty flat. But
Yeah.
if you had a chunkier wound,
A chunkier
you have it where they sculpt it right, or not sculpt, they suture it on camera. That would be another cool thing you could do with a stitch-like wound. Again, I wouldn't use this because I have it very opaque. Like, that might not be safe to do on camera for talent. But that's another very neat thing that you can do with stitches is you can have them kind of suture themselves on camera.
I know, and this one, it like now, like looking at it in person more close up,
it is a very Frankenstein clean stitches in it.
But it's clean looking. It looks very like like medical. Like you just got it clean at the hospital and they just sewed it up. Like that looks awesome. And then like if you wanted to make it look more like rough, I guess you could just add like bigger gashes.
Yep, more organic shapes, and that's when you can kind of, like you said, you can get a little messy with it, and it's fine, and that kind of sells it more than having something too clean.
Yeah. These are all different kind of cuts or scars.
And this one, so this one's a gash.
That's so cool. So you're just like sitting at home, you're like, I'm gonna make a gash today.
I mean, last year I definitely went through a little creative,
Vic?
what is it called? Creative block for a while. And then one day I was like, you could still be doing all this right now. So I figured, what the heck?
What was supposed to happen to Vicky's nose right here? Did you just get someone's nails in her nose?
I never gave her a full backstory, so we could kind of
let's give her a backstory.
Roll with that.
Okay, let's see.
Oh, this one's a little bit stuck in here.
So she has a gash in her nose.
I'll leave it in.
She has, oh my gosh, she got bit on her neck by like a vampire. And then she's like gashed up right here. Maybe
that one's my favorite, the one on the cheek.
Oh, let's show her neck too. Has anyone?
Yes, the cross.
Look at the detail in that. That's like her little neck bone, I'm assuming, right? Mm-hmm. And then what is like? This is like cartilage. I don't know what our neck.
Yeah. So basically, I looked up several reference pictures of anatomy, the cross section of a neck. Most of it was like diagrams from school type of. They weren't actual photos.
Yeah,
and then there was one photo, but it was kind
of
like,
wait, you didn't see like a real head slice of it?
The one photo was, but it was almost like. It was a real photo of the head, but it was what they had to do in school, I guess, for medical. So it almost looked like... Did you ever have to dissect a sheep's heart or anything like that?
No. We had... Okay, so I remember in middle school or high school, we had to just dissect a rat, and I was like, I hate rats. So I was like, I'll do the worksheets in the back. So I didn't do that. And then there was a year they did frogs, and I was like, I can't do that either. I'll do the worksheets.
Oh, I didn't even know I had the choice. I would have done that too.
No, I was like, I can't. Like, I'll literally pass out. Like, the tails freak me out. I'm like, I can't.
Yeah, I wouldn't have done that.
And I remember one of my classmates, like, they were like, this one's pregnant! And it had, like, little rat babies in there. And it was awful. It was so awful. It was so scary. I was like, I can't be a part of this.
I love that's more morbid to us than the head we're holding.
I know. I'm like, this isn't scary. No, but it would be, like, at night, if this was, like, in my bedroom and I just, like, saw this, I'd scream. Which actually happened to me when I went to your place the other day. It wasn't this head, but it was another head of a very mysterious man we cannot talk about yet. But he was there in her kitchen, and I didn't know he was going to be there in her kitchen. So I'm going into the kitchen for some water, and I'm like, is your dad here? She's like, no.
I did that to myself a few nights for sure. Yeah, so I have 2 crazy cats, and they can sniff out that smell of gelatin because gelatin is derived from animal product. It's like animal bones of some sort or something along those lines. The cartilage, something.
And we eat Jello.
So I know, isn't that? And it's marshmallows too.
No, I know. And you're like, we can make a head out of Jello, and I'm like, and we put that in our bodies.
I could make a head out of Jello too.
I would. I like low key. I'm like, I'm gonna challenge you on
There was a girl on YouTube that she did a life cast, and instead of doing all of this with it and the sculpting, she skipped off that and just poured the stuff to make gummy bears into it. That type of jello-y material. And she pulled it was like a round gummy in her head. I thought it was funny. So it's like, wow, it's SFX and gummy bears come together as one. Anything
that's so wild,
right?
So like, if someone was because I did see Scary Movie, or was it? Scary Movie is a parody of Scream, right? Is that right? I think it is.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So in one of the Scary Movies, I think it might have been the first one. She's like running. I think it's Pamela Anderson, and she gets stabbed in the boob, and then it's like this like supposed to be her silicone boob like implant. So I'm like, did they use Jello for that? Because like thinking back on that. It looked like when they stabbed it and it's supposed to be the silicone, it looked jello-y. Yeah. But I never knew, but until like right now, it just hit me. I was like, holy shit, I think they used Jello.
That's a good question. I'm going to have to look that up.
Yeah, no, look it up and see. Because I honestly feel like it's that first scene. She's like,
I'm sure there is.
She's like running, and she's running. The guy's running behind her, and she's like, no, like, I'm too slow, like in every fucking scary movie. And then she trips, classic. And then she gets her boob stabbed, and then it's like her implant.
Right off the bat.
Yeah, just right. And so I'm honestly like, I'm kind of like, I think it's Jello. I have a feeling.
It might be. And that was a little older, so it really might be.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, yeah. Like, how have times changed with like prosthetics and stuff?
From the start, they used to do build up on the spot every day. So for things like Frankenstein.
Yeah.
They didn't have like a Frankenstein prosthetic ready to glue on every day, which even that would take 5-6 hours of application to make a Frankenstein nowadays. Like in the chair on set every day, I would say give me 5 to 6 hours. That's for one person doing a Frankenstein. I don't remember how many hours it used to take them.
Yeah, well,
but
seems like a long time.
Complete build up with like tissue, latex, the old school stuff.
Yeah.
The stuff that people use nowadays, sometimes for Halloween even.
I'm shocked. And now I'm like thinking back at all the old movies, and I'm like, how long did that shit take? Like,
and
the
they were
Grinch?
just skilled enough to do it on the spot. They were like creating a creature literally from scratch day after day, keeping that continuity.
Whoa. No, because like I watched Grinch around Christmas time, and I was like researching, doing some on my Christmas episode. I did some research on the Grinch, and like Jim Carrey was like just so fucking mad about having to apply the prosthetics, and he was like painting green every day. He was like he had like over 1,000 hours in the makeup chair, and he was like, the makeup artist had to like go to therapy after because of like the amount of stress he caused her from just like tormenting her like in the chair.
I don't blame either of them. I don't blame either of them because I've had it on my face as well.
Okay.
And it was only one day, and by the end of the day,
you were mad.
Like, when it was time to take it off, I was like, "Get this off!"
You're like ripping your skin off.
Yes,
you're like,
so I understand them both actually. It's like, yeah,
okay,
you did
so you
sign
get
up
it.
for it.
You get it.
But it is a lot, and day after day, I'm sure
is it itchy
with something
too?
long like that, if it's glued on properly, it shouldn't itch because it's skin tight. So it should move with your skin.
Because that would throw me off. Like if I have to like get under there, I will rip it off.
That's the problem. If there's an air pocket underneath, and you're moving your face, and it's just hitting your skin when you move your face,
it'll tickle,
then it'll tickle. That would bother me too, and that's something that could happen if you're not paying attention while applying. If you're tired, if you make a mistake. So
is that an easy fix though, or is that like you just gotta deal with it?
If it's an organic sculpt, then you can get in there and kind of weasel your way back under with some glue. Yeah. Or even like cut through it and get that glue in there and then seal it back. That could possibly be an option. But, if talent's not telling you and you're not aware you did it, it's going to be a problem later on when they, when they're upset about it and it's been bothering them for 8 hours and then they say something. So you want to avoid it. Yeah,
I was going to ask you that. Have you had any like actors or talent that's just like, Victoria, like, I don't like how this feels or how this is applied? Or do you always do a test run before so you don't have to deal with that on set?
With things like that, you need to do a test. And usually they had already been through life casting, so they kind of already have an idea of what it's going to be. Like he went through life casting too. Okay. But for them to go through it that many days in a row, I don't know what their production schedule looked like at that time. Right. But removal usually uses some type of oil, right? Because you have to remove it too. And, you can't just leave it on. Maybe he had facial hair that started bothering him too, or maybe his face was getting raw, and they just had to keep pushing with filming. And that's not the makeup artist's fault. They're just doing what they're told. That's not his fault. So I totally see why there was some clashing between the both of them. Yeah, I totally get that.
And when you're doing special effects makeup, are you also like doing regular makeup as well? Like you're cool with doing both, or do you like to just focus on one or the other because it might be like a lot, or I don't know, like does it depend on the set or the shoot?
It depends on the set. If it's something smaller, I'm fine with doing both. Yeah. But for something bigger, more honed in with effects and gore, I would want to be predominantly just on as the SFX artist, and I would rather them have another makeup artist on to take care of the other things.
Right, that makes sense. Just to like have that extra eye to get those details, or just like an extra hand, honestly, like. Because, like, set gets overwhelming, and, like, I feel like we're always like, yeah, you'll have, like, an hour time, and then it's, like, 30 minutes, like, we don't have time, and then you're just like, I need an hour. Story of my life. I felt so bad, like, if for anyone who doesn't know, Victoria and I just did a shoot together, and I was directing, and she was doing makeup. We didn't need that much special effects makeup. It was mostly, like, blood added.
That was on the spot stuff.
Yeah, it was very. But I didn't like. We didn't practice that or like go over it before. So I just remember being like, hey, like,
and can you add some blood? That's what we call out of the kit effects. It's stuff that we just kind of always have in our kit. Right. We know there's a chance you're gonna ask, so we have that prepared and ready to go. Little things like that. Even things like this, I would like to eventually have like a booklet of this on deck in my kit with the most asked for effects. If they need a gunshot, I have the correct gunshot.
Do you have a gunshot thing?
Most likely used. Do I have one? And here's one. It's not the right size. I got a little excited one night, and I sculpted a random gunshot without looking up, the correct millimeter size and whatever. Since then, I've learned that
is this a Glock?
Is there a Glock?
Or is this a rifle bullet? I don't know.
Yeah.
Somebody tell us.
Yeah, pretty much. I don't know what this is. If you know, if it's anything.
Your guns, comment below. Just
right. But yeah, I guess 9mm is the one that's mostly used.
Is it?
I guess crime.
Okay.
Because that's the
From
one
all the
that
crime
you should be
documentaries that I've
sculpting.
seen, it seems like the 9mm caliber. I don't know.
Have to measure.
Right.
Who knows what millimeter?
Don't fact check me on that. And where would you like apply that one? I know you said you could put it in multiple spots, but like where do you imagine this going?
I would probably do, the bullseye in the center of the forehead.
I love that.
Maybe a flat chest part would be nice too, because that's another part on your body that doesn't move too much, and it would be an easy place to expose, like, when you're shooting.
And you can add blood there, right?
Yeah, so you could have a nice little exposed spot through the shirt at that point, and that would be something, maybe the director would want to see, because you wouldn't want to put it anywhere that would be too under the clothes, and then how are they going to get it? Exactly. So that's kind of how I would plan, like something like on a flat plane, more in the open. Or wherever the director wants it.
Nice. I like that. But yeah, we were doing the shoot the other day. I guess like has it been 2 weeks or a week? I don't even know. My time has just been all over the place. Yeah. But like when you had the blood capsules, I wanted to take time and ask you about that, but we were so busy that day and like on like a schedule, so I was like I didn't get the chance. But luckily you're here, so I can ask you. Yeah. How are you pouring blood into these capsules, or does it come like that already?
So many options.
I love it. Many options.
I didn't have the capsules. I had a little bottle drop. Just a little tiny mini bottle that you just drop right into the mouth.
Oh, okay.
Same concept as the capsule, except for you have a little less workability with that.
Right.
I mean, he couldn't be talking.
Right. I know when he put it in,
his mouth would already be red. Yeah.
Let me know when we're ready to go.
So that usually, it depends. Also, that can depend on the talent or whatever the makeup artist just has on hand or what they're comfortable with.
Right.
But yeah, for the capsules, you can have those. You can order those empty. Fill it with your own, so I could fill it with that if that's the blood that I really love, and the only one I want to use.
And does fake blood taste gross? Like, is it okay to be in your mouth?
It's minty.
Oh no!
Yep,
shut up.
Flavor it.
Fake blood is minty.
And then they have ones that are like vanilla too. There's several different flavors. Some people use strawberry. Yeah.
I could see strawberry.
Or like cherry,
sweet.
like red cherry.
Whoa. Okay, cool. I would just be like eating it. Like it tastes like candy. Do you have a specific brand of fake blood that you use that you're like, yeah, this is the one? Because I've worked with fake blood. There was one that was like really thick, and it was just so messy. Like we didn't even use that much of it, and it was a disaster. Like it would you put a little bit here, and then it would somehow get everywhere within a second. I'm like, is all fake blood that hard to manage, or are we just doing it wrong?
There's so many. They have a kind for every need. They have quick drying. They have ones that stay wet. They have thicker ones, darker ones. So many different brands. There's Red Drum, Fleet Street. Those are
what
all
does that
really
even mean?
Brands.
That's
They're just the brand
those are the
names.
brands. Okay. And what would you have to put in there for it to dry fast? Because
That's a good question. Maybe alcohol or something, since alcohol evaporates quicker.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe
so there's different types of blood. You can have it dry fast. You can have it be gushy looking.
Gel blood.
Gel blood?
Mm-hmm.
What does that look like?
It's kind of already thick and scabby. You can add this stuff called Cabicel into the blood. Yeah. And it makes it thicker, as thick as you want it. It can make it into this gel consistency. So if I wanted that stitch to look like it was infected and scabby, I'd run over it with a little maybe yellow. Yeah, it's yellow. And then I'd add some of that scabbed blood.
So is this when you're adding color, is it you're using a paintbrush and little actual paints, what kind of you're not using watercolors, what kind of paints are they?
It's funny you say that, because it's basically that, but it's alcohol activated instead. It's alcohol colors.
Maybe I know more than I thought. Yeah, I was like, is it watercolor? Well, because I used watercolor when I used to paint as a kid, and they were always really fun. Just add a little bit of water, and then you're painting on whatever. But I'm is it really that easy? I feel I guess it is, and it's just, but it just looks like it. Oh my God, she's sweating.
So wait,
guys, she's sweating. It is hot in here today.
I don't store her properly, and I keep her in my closet in a Ralph's grocery bag.
Yeah.
So she silicone over time, over years, it's not gonna be great forever. It leaches oil. So she's literally sweating right now. She's leaching oil.
We're both sweating
out of her skin.
What? She's releasing oil out of her skin? Like, she has oily pores right now. I'm like,
well,
oh.
she doesn't have pores.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, she has
She
has pores, but they're very shallow pores.
I'm like, don't. She's right here. She can hear you.
Yeah.
Don't say she doesn't have pores.
I'm so sorry.
This poor girl. She's
not even gonna want to come home with me now.
Yeah, you just like keep her in her bag. She's like, save me. She's like, she puts me in a plastic bag. Here, you got to be on a pillow. We've been trying to prop her up nicely, but it's been so difficult because she really does have a mind of her own.
She was the first version of me that wasn't a good listener. I'm the clone.
I love it. No, if I was if you were a teenager or if you're ever like trying to sneak out, like this would have been perfect back in high school.
Lay it in the bed.
Lay it in the bed. Your mom would have never guessed that you're not home. She would have been like, Victoria? And then like sees like the side of your face. And she's like, that's her.
If only I knew what career I wanted sooner.
I know.
Sounds like a new business venture.
Right?
Dude, you should do it for like high school students. You can like cut them a deal, like an online thing. Like, hey, like, want to sneak out? Like, you know.
Can I have something?
Yes,
Yeah,
Brandon.
It's probably safe to say that when you see like special effects makeups in film, in like films, you can kind of like analyze it really quickly and kind of guess how they got that final result. Is that correct?
That's my new favorite thing to do since I started working.
Tell us,
in
how
the
do you
industry.
analyze? Are you like, oh, that's she didn't use the good stuff.
I mean, I try and not be
like,
that
catty.
analytical. Yeah, but kind of in a way. I mean,
you don't try to be, but it's like, I know what you were doing there.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
See a bad edge, or you know
a
way
bad
they
edge.
could have done it.
Yeah,
that's a thing. Yeah, if you don't glue these down properly, you will see where they end and where your skin starts again. So if you see that, and sometimes they will cast a little more shiny on camera compared to your natural skin. So you might want to use a mattifying setting spray over it, or there's other matte mediums you can brush over it for that reason, because sometimes it could be a little too shiny, or it could be a little too matte for the person's skin. You might want to add a more shinier.
What if someone with like dry skin is like, because I feel like those all look like smooth. Like I feel like my skin's pretty dry, so it's like, if I apply it, like, will it look like? Will you see the difference of like soft skin versus dry, or like will you paint
I think that's
over
the same thing, just like working with it and kind of manipulating it as best you can with the things you have with different sealers.
Oh, and I'm sure you're gonna have to provide like if it irritates someone's skin. Has it ever irritated?
That's another thing that determines which prosthetic you use as well, because for the monster makeup, sometimes they use foam latex, and as we know, a lot of people have allergies to latex. Like severe allergies to latex.
How do you get tested for that?
How do you know? I always ask them beforehand.
Like, I don't want to just be sitting there and then not knowing. You're like, all of a sudden your face is all messed up.
If the client doesn't know, if they've never touched a latex product, which I'm guessing they probably, I mean, I can ask them a series of questions. Like, if you have used this, then you definitely have had latex on.
Like what? Like, for example?
But I would still do like a patch test, like certain even rubber bands.
Oh,
even rubber bands. Anything that's labeled rubber usually has some form in it.
Okay.
But if they are not aware and they are worried, and we really want to do a patch test, because you want to make sure, like you said, you don't want to be on set that day.
And then like, oh shit, our actress has a rash and now she can't. Yeah.
It's kind of the same directions as they use on other bottles of things that you buy, when it's like, do it on the back of your hand or on your wrist.
Do not apply an
and
ice.
then wait a few hours.
Yeah, right. Oh my god.
If there's no irritation, then you should be good. And if there is, you take that off immediately. I don't care who's doing what. You don't want to risk ruining someone's
skin permanently.
Or eyes. You don't know how bad it's going to affect them. Sometimes they swell up so bad. You don't know what's going to happen. You don't want to waste someone's health over, one day.
Do you almost like have to fill out like a contract or like a liability form? Like, what if you ask them these questions and they're like, no, I don't have any allergies, and then like they do, and then they're like, I'm going to sue you.
Always have it in writing, your conversation. Always have it that you negotiated, that you talked about, that you let them know they knew. To have that to fall back on, and make sure everyone knows you did the right thing. You want to keep people safe, and you want to keep people happy, bottom line.
Yeah. No, I like that too. When you were working on my film with me, you emailed all the actors and actresses and were like, hey, like, I'm your makeup artist. Let me know if you're allergic to anything so I can like already prepare for that. Like a week in advance, which is good, because it's like, I feel like makeup artists definitely ask that question on sets that I've been on. They're like, hey, like any skin allergies? But it's always the day of. And I always wonder, like, what if you weren't prepared for this, like, one allergy? You know what I mean?
Yeah, so at least you know, if you don't ask ahead of time, which I always do and I recommend doing, at least make sure you have a few separate things on hand. Or if your products tend to have allergic reactions to certain people, you know, if there are ingredients in it that are iffy, like a latex thing, make sure you have something next to that or in a separate, it should be in a separate bag at that point.
You're like,
that you know isn't going to cause a reaction so that you can use that instead. Because sometimes, like, the latex thing is what we want because it might be better for what we need. Yeah. But if they're allergic, you want it, you need to have some form of replacement for that. So on day of, it can, you know, happen. Or sometimes you could ask in advance and then day of they see something and they realize and they're like, oh, actually the last time I used that. Or they might just hate it and they might just not want to use it and they might want something different and you kind of have to work with them on that. And you can't, you know, you can't be like, deal with it.
Right.
Their talent.
They're literally like, their talent. And has there ever been like, have you ever worked with anyone where they're like, sorry to tell you this, but I don't love it. Like, has it ever happened? Like, what do you do in that?
I've been very lucky.
That is lucky because, like, I know that there's been, like, some divas and there's been some horror stories about applying stuff. And it, like, it kind of, I'm like, oh, shit, that's scary. And, like, sometimes even as simple as, like, the actors will come with their makeup done. Some makeup artists actually say that it's more difficult to work around that. Like, because, like, you have to, like, 100%. Take some off and then, like, apply around it. And then it's, like, this whole battle of, like, the actor, like, you know, saying, like, I know what makeup I use, but it's not necessarily camera-ready makeup, so.
That's another thing with ingredients.
Yeah.
Is sometimes they don't realize you can't use certain foundations with other foundations or concealers because some are water-based and some are oil-based.
Right.
Or some are silicone-based.
And if you're allergic to any of those.
Allergies. But if you use silicone one with like a water or something, they might not mix together. Yeah. If I'm retouching up your concealer with my concealer and you already powdered and did all of that,
now you're just mixing all this shit together.
You're gonna have a weird line right there where the foundation and it won't blend together. It'll be patchy, and there's nothing you can do because those are chemicals that don't mix. Oh. And then it looks bad on us.
Right. It's like, oh, what is this makeup artist doing? But it's like, you came
makeup
ready when I said not to.
You have to go tell, like, the AD or the director, hey, I'm going to have to take off all of their makeup now and redo it.
Yeah. No, I was definitely on a set where this one, she was like, yeah, I have my full makeup ready. And then the makeup artist was like, well, why am I here then? And I feel bad.
If you're supposed to come camera ready and all you want from me is powder,
but if you're
I'm
not
happy with camera ready, then
but if you're not supposed to come camera ready and you come camera ready, it is kind of a slap in the face to the makeup artist. Yeah. It's like almost saying, like, I don't trust your work. But it's like, I feel like if that communication is there, like, hey, like even if you're like, hey, like, I have really dry skin and I prefer using this foundation, I'm sure the makeup artist can work with you if you have that communication in advance.
And that's why you want to send out that email. You know, I said, hey, if you have any of your own stuff that you specifically prefer or need to use, feel free to bring it, but I will have my full kit. Yeah. You can come fresh and barefaced, you know, as long as they have that. And if you have any questions, please let me know. Yeah. Then you're leaving that line of communication open, the ball's in their court, and they can let you know if they have any concerns.
Exactly.
And then the day of, when you finally get to meet, it's rainbows and sunshine. Everyone's happy.
There was no miscommunication. Everybody knows we're on the same page. Like,
exactly.
And so when you're also applying, like, prosthetic stuff or even making molds, like, do you prefer them to have, like, no facial hair, or, like, does that matter? Or, like, because I know no bare face is probably better, right?
Yeah, it would.
So I'm assuming no makeup. And are piercings a concern? Like, would I have to take out my nose ring?
I could work around it. I could use a little piece of bald cap. And glue that.
Of bald cap.
Yeah, literally, and glue it right around
it. Ew, I don't want to see myself in a bald cap. Like, well, I mean, I just imagine myself, like, it's just funny.
I've seen myself, and I look like a hard-boiled egg.
Me too, probably.
A hard-boiled egg.
Oh my god, that is so funny. Oh my god.
I've also seen myself with a beard down in here, and I look like Hagrid.
Oh my god, I forgot you can apply hair. Yeah, and beards.
You can.
I should have made you, like, I should have had you apply, like, a whole fucking, like, facial hair with a mustache, like, maybe, like, a goatee or something.
Oh, my goodness. We could give you some mutton chops.
That would have been so funny. Okay, we have to do another episode where she applies hair.
We'll do an applying
Oh, my God, let's
one,
just do, yeah, like, a whole make, like, can you just make me not look like myself?
Yeah, we'll do all different characters. We could set up a whole, like a specific character.
Yeah.
To make you into.
Oh, my God, let's, oh my god, I'm so excited. Let's do it.
That'll be fun.
Oh my god, yes. Okay, cool. And okay, I know we're almost there, but what movie inspired you, or like what movie like that has the coolest special effects, makeup? I'm like, goals?
Right now,
Yeah.
my newest
Yeah.
favorite as far as effects,
Mm-hmm.
I think Midsummer did a really good job with things.
Really? Like
They
with what?
had a crushed head scene,
Right. Okay.
and they knew, because the biggest problem with things like that
Yeah.
is if you take a head and then you crush it, when they say reset, what happens?
You can't reset. So what do you do?
So they created an animatronic collapsible head that can collapse and then puff back up on command.
Shut the fuck
I don't
up.
know the exact logistics.
That's like
but
science,
they did
literally
that.
science right
They
there with
did
like
that. And
engineering.
I want to learn more about it. The second I read that,
I wonder what their head budget was.
definitely a lot cheaper that they didn't have to do 1,000 of them though, right?
Right.
Because they got
Oh,
to do as many takes as they
shit.
want then. And then they probably had more money to put into other gory scenes because there were several crazy things.
Yeah.
That movie was, whew, a
And
trip.
even like Hereditary, did you see that one? Where
Yes.
her head gets squished
I
in
forgot about
the
that.
post? Do you think that was like a oneer? Because it's just like a quick I mean it
And
was
that,
creepy as fuck, but
that's a good question.
yeah, because like now that we're like talking
Could
about
have at
heads
least
getting
been one
squished.
rolling head though, because one head like
Oh.
this can at least last several takes of being thrown and rolled.
Yeah,
I
like-
don't know about the actual I don't remember when it happened. Does it show it happening, like it coming off of her or not?
Yeah. Okay. So she's like driving in the back seat. She sticks her head out the window, and then like he like drives by a pole, and it literally like you hear it snap, and it like I think it rolls onto the road.
Oh my gosh.
So I'm like, how did they like? Because she has like no, she doesn't have a thing where you can like attach her, right? But like technically, you could like prop her somewhere and then like just have her
could.
like roll.
Yeah, I guess you could have like a fake body kind of with its head hanging out of the thing, and it could have like a short pole keeping it
Yeah,
in there.
exactly.
Enough to where when you hit it, it falls right off.
She's kind of making the right face for it too. Like
Exactly.
when she gets hit by like something hit her in the head, like she's like her whole like mouth is like moved to the side. Like yeah, if she was just like laying there like right like on the road, it looked like she just literally like a Hereditary moment. Midsummer, what you would say is like your top like choice right now with special effects makeup.
Mm-hmm.
I love it.
Yeah, definitely.
What about like when you watch like Exorcist, like a classic old one? Do you think it's like
I mean, you have to appreciate.
yeah,
the
right?
people that came- right.
Yeah. You like
I
you
mean,
appreciate it, but you're like
they all paved the way for
Right.
the effects.
Right.
So, and you can still learn things from what they did and
Yeah.
take things from it. Even like I was saying, the Frankenstein build-up makeup, you would
Yeah.
never use that today. There's still things that you can learn by knowing that. Like you
Right.
should still learn about it and appreciate it. And
Yeah.
realize what they had to do so that you can do
right,
all
like the
this.
shit they had to go through to get that out of here.
Yeah.
Now that we were talking about heads, I'm like all these different heads in these movies. I'm like, what did you guys do? I'm gonna get to the bottom of this.
That's whenever I have to make one, and I'm like, okay, research every head in every film ever in life, in all of history, and see how to make.
Is there
that.
like a lot? There must be. I mean, you probably have like hundreds of movies to pick from, right?
So many heads.
And they're not always scary,
many
right? They're
heads.
also like, it could be for different type of genre films. But I feel like you can definitely use prosthetics and like special effects makeup in like, let's say a drama. Like I know in like The Godfather, Marlon Brando, he used a mouth guard or something, put something in there
Yes.
to make his jaw
Yeah.
look more like a square or something, and then like he also put something here so it'd be like a little, I don't know, like puffed out, make it more like Godfather like.
Yeah, makeup artists built that. So they took a mold of the teeth the
Yeah.
same way we did that, and it's kind of like how dentists build braces. They just built a thing that would
And
seat
just, like,
right
shove it in.
onto him. Yeah, and he just popped it back in every day. They cleaned it at
Wow.
night. Mm-hmm.
And then I know that they added like wrinkles and to make him look older because he was like supposed to be like, I don't know, like 60 in the movie or something like this, like, you know, like a older man, and he wasn't, he was like maybe 40 in like real life.
Yeah.
So they had to add those wrinkles, add those bags under the eyes. Is that easy? I mean, you wouldn't have to add it for me because I already have them, but are they easy to like apply? Are they easy to apply?
Yeah, I'd say
Yeah.
they're pretty, especially if it's just like, if they're separate and it's the bag piece.
Yeah.
That's a really quick, easy one, and it ends at a point where there's already kind of a natural line.
Okay.
So it's kind of a nice place to apply.
Yeah.
That's another one you have to watch out with placement and movement, though, because if you let it end in the wrong spot,
Right.
your eye movements might...
And you just blink and like you can't even control that shit. So it's like, sorry.
Exactly. But yeah, I'm sure they used silicone prosthetics for that as
probably.
well to create that realism, because that was a good movie.
Yeah.
It was a really good movie.
So I guess, but before we finish off, what advice would you give someone maybe entering the special effects field, or any tips you could give someone that starting out?
Keep an open mind. Be willing to take constructive criticism.
Right.
Don't take things too
Don't take it too
personally.
seriously.
Please don't. Or you'll be miserable.
Please don't.
And just always try and do better every time.
Yeah.
Every time.
Yeah. And if it doesn't turn out the way you originally had planned, just try again, right? Because I feel like
There will
practice
always
makes
be.
perfect with
Exactly.
anything. Especially with
Exactly.
these types of things. I'm like, I would have to make a lot of molds.
Exactly. Like, this was my first head I ever made.
Okay, but this is like
And
a
it's
good
just-
head to be like.
it's
She's like,
all
this is
from
the first
there."
head I ever made. No big deal.
So,
Well, I'm excited to see future heads because I know they'll be coming, and I'm excited for my makeover. Who knows? I'll let you.
Oh, I'm
I'll let
already
you
excited
decide
now.
what you want to turn me into. I'll
send you random ideas.
Yeah, and I'm totally open to it, so I'm super excited about that. But I think that's great advice. And if you want to give out any social media handles so that people can follow you and your work.
My Instagram is just at Victoria Marjasso. My website is the same, victoriamarjasso.com.
Love it.
That's it. Yeah,
A
those
girl
are
with a
my two.
website. We love it. We love it. Well, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you for
Thank you for
having
bringing
me.
Vicky. Thanks, guys.
I'll
And we're gonna clean her up because she's sweaty. It's hot in here, so
She is too.
I know she's like, shit. I need some water. Oh my god, we didn't get her any water. No wonder. I'm a terrible
Here,
host. I'm
Let's
so
just
sorry.
give her a quick sip.
Okay.
Oh, much better.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in this week, and I'll see you guys next week.